This is Megan Hanna, and I'm here today with Spyridon Nicon. You have a new book.
Yes.
It's called ABC in the Place to Be. How would you describe this book to somebody?
How would I describe this book? So ABC in the Place to Be is 30 years in the making.
Okay.
I've been a hip-hop fan for 30 years, maybe even more. And, I have a lot of reverence for the art form, a lot of reverence for the culture. And I just was excited to do something with that inspiration. And so ABC in the Place to Be is my version of honoring the four elements of hip-hop: DJs, MCs, B-boys and B-girls, and graffiti writers. These are the four pillars that have been agreed upon by numerous scholars. I would say other elements get layered in there, but those are the big four.
A is for the aerosol, spraying color, can in hand.
B is for the boys who love the incredible bongo band.
C is for the crates, digging records they can play.
D is for the disc, and the jockeys for the J.
Now, this love that you have for this art form, how did this turn into a book? And where did that idea come from? You said it's been around, kicking it around for 30 years. I love the fact that it's here now with us. But yeah, kind of walk us through how you got to this place.
Here's the truth. I think that I've always been inspired by rap lyrics and clever punchlines and just lines and couplets that have been created, rhymes. So one night I just grabbed a piece of notebook paper, I wrote the alphabet vertically, and I stayed up until I had written 26 lines. And 26 lines that pretty much rhymed. Of course, I had to go back and fine-tune it and rewrite it and revise it a bit. But ultimately, I did not go to bed until I had done A to Z in 13 rhyming couplets.
E is for the effort that it takes to write a rhyme.
F is for the fingers that scratch in perfect time.
G is for the ground where B-girls master moves.
H is for the headphones that pulsate with the grooves.
But you had some help.
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
I did.
Share with us a little bit about your collaborators here.
Yes.
And who we're going to see and represented in this book.
Absolutely. So this was probably 2 Thanksgivings ago. My niece Malia, who at the time was an 8th grader, was visiting Seattle from San Francisco with her family for Thanksgiving. And I think we had dinner, and I sat down next to Malia on the couch, and I said, Malia, so I've got this crazy idea. I've written this hip-hop children's book. I can't draw to save my life, but you can draw so well. Would you be willing to draw me 26 pictures that will correspond with the letters and lines that I've created? And she said yes.
Yes.
Yeah. And then she went back to San Francisco. Obviously, I'm here in Seattle. So we built the book via text. I would text her a line, and she would get out her sketch pad and with a pencil start sketching, take a photo of it, text me the photo, and say, Uncle Spin, is this kind of where we're going? And overall, she really just knew what it should look like. This book is self-published. I don't have an agent. So really, it was Malia and I. And then the other person that I need to give huge credit to is Sandy Nelson, who helped with the scanning of the images, the layout, the color treatments, and just the overall design. So Sandy was my fairy godmother on this project.
I is for the instant this culture came to be.
J is for the jams, August 1173.
K is for the kicks on the feet on the street.
L is for the lines that are layered on the beat.
And one of the things that I have really enjoyed is hearing also your friend, Peyton.
Yes.
and his daughter Noah,
Yes.
who you hear in this recording actually reading from the book. That sounds like that was really a fun thing too, to have to bring people who are important in your life, bringing them into this project in that way
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah, I was thinking about the idea of who could read and how it could be read, and I knew that I wanted adult voices and children's voices, and so I kind of threw it out to a handful of people, and Peyton had the wherewithal to think, okay, I'll read a line and Noah can read a line, and I'll read a line and Noah can read a line. So they initially just recorded A, B, C, and D, and when he sent it to me, I loved it so much that I actually texted him back and said, would you do me a huge favor? Like, could you just do the whole thing? And so, he sat down with Noah again over the course of the weekend, and they went A to Z, and it just came out beautifully.
Yeah.
Yeah. I, of course, have to mention that the beat behind the voices created by my nephew, Wesley Carconen, Fresh Wes. Thank you for the beat. We love it. It was perfect. We had no idea how it was going to work, and it just worked.
M is for the mics that are rocked over dubs.
N is for the nights and the crowds in the clubs.
O is for the old school. We gotta pay respect.
P is for the poets and the way they architect.
Let's go back to kind of the audience for this book. This is a kid's book. I mean, who would you say is kind of the target audience for this?
I think the target audience is kind of like the kindergarten through fifth grade crowd.
Yeah.
But truth be told, I think that this book could be read to a child who's not even reading for themselves yet, but rather an adult reading to a kid who's first, grasping words and letters and pictures. And then on top of it, I think that I tried to write it in a way where the adult reading would also be intrigued. So I tried to pepper in larger vocabulary words so that it wasn't just a read it once and I'm done with this book, but rather this book could be read numerous times, and it could be read by an adult to a child. And then as the child builds reading skills, it could be read by a child to adult, and then even by a child on their own, or even by an adult on their own.
Q is for the quiet that's rarely ever heard.
R is for the raps that make us all say word.
S is for the styles that set the trends for years.
T is for the treble and the bass in our ears.
In connection with this audience that you're looking to connect with, tell us a little bit about how you've taken this book and kind of shared that with some youth across town.
Yeah, so I have a lot of friends that are teachers. When I completed the book, I started reaching out to those folks.
Yeah.
So I reached out to a college friend of mine, Mike Jackson, who teaches fifth grade, and we scheduled a reading. And then I reached out to the teachers of my own children, and we scheduled a reading. It just has kind of one reading has turned into the next, which has been great. And I have a few more coming up, which I'm excited about. And what I realized is that it's not just about reading the book, but rather it's about using the book as a platform to discuss hip hop as this really rich cultural art form.
Yeah. With a K through 5 audience, how do you talk about hip hop in a broader context with a group that young?
Yeah, and it's such a huge conversation that sometimes it can be hard to distill it just into the 30 minutes or 45 minutes or even an hour that I have with the kids. So really what I try to do is look at each line. So I will say to the class after I finish the reading, did everyone have a favorite letter, a favorite word, a favorite line, or a favorite drawing? Now, of course, really young kids gravitate towards the letter that their name begins with. So that's kind of an interesting way. So you as Megan would say, well, Spin, I like M. And I would say, well, M is for the mics that are rocked over dubs. And then
I just lucked out because I probably would have picked that line anyway.
there we go. And so then what that allows room for is to create a conversation about, okay, well, what are mics? Well, mics are microphones. And what are dubs? Well, dubs are a Jamaican term for an instrumental track or an instrumental platter as in the days of records. And so we can talk about, hip hop being born out of simply a record and a track and a microphone.
For anybody that's reading this book, what do you hope they take away from it?
I'm hoping that everyone comes away with a little more hip hop knowledge. I also hope that what people see is the positivity in hip hop, because I think it's very easy to see the negativity in hip hop, and I'm not here to say that there isn't negative commentary in hip hop, because there is, but there's also so much positivity in hip hop, and so the hope is that you walk away with a little more knowledge and a little more of that positivity.
U is for the underground that keeps it sounding fresh.
V is for the voices and the rhythms where they mesh.
W is for the walls where the art is the mission.
X is for the rays that give us clearer vision.
The book is ABC and the Place to Be. Where can people get a copy of this book?
They can come to Spin's Barbershop in Wallingford. So yes, I am a barber by day, children's author by night. So yeah, you can come to Spin's Barbershop and pick up a copy. Buying one at the barbershop is great because it's a signed copy. You can also pick up copies at Finney Books on Finney Ridge, the Sub Pop store at SeaTac Airport.
Okay.
And then there's also the small online bookstore called Amazon.com. I think they're going to be big.
Okay, so plenty of options for people to get their hands on this book. Do you have any other projects planned after this book?
Yeah, I would love to write a few more children's books. And it's a time-consuming process. Yeah. It does require a fair amount of bandwidth. But I think in the short term, I just would love to see where this book goes. And that's part of the fun. It's a completed project now. I've been able to give copies to teachers and to principals and to librarians and to friends and to family and to kids. And so we'll see where this goes. But it has definitely lit a fire creatively.
Y is for the youth and the yes, y'all.
Z is for the zigga zigga, turntables tall.